Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Fabrizio Romano here as always to keep you posted on the transfer market. More to say today, guys, about Manchester United, about Alexander Isak, but also Benjamin Šeško, Chelsea exits, and more or less jump into it together. And so guys, as always, many movements on the market. I recommend you to go here on the channel to the other video if you didn't see that, about the situation, about obviously Alexander Isak and Benjamin Šeško and Luiz Díaz and all these kind of stories, because it's massive, guys. Many things are happening, but let's enter into details of that. And I wanted to start with a story regarding the situation of Alexander Isak, because as mentioned today, the player is exploring a move away from Newcastle. He's been clear with the club. And so what happens? Newcastle started to react. Exclusive story you found today on the channel, in the video, and on my social media platforms is now spreading all over the world. Newcastle are going big, or at least are trying to go big, for Benjamin Šeško. Newcastle are on it. Newcastle, from what I understand, I can add this detail tonight, are prepared to make a proposal to the player and to present their project to the player. Newcastle really want to try to bring Benjamin Šeško. That will be massive. It's not easy because, as I mentioned in the previous video, there is this kind of gentleman agreement between Šeško and Leipzig. He can leave the club for a special club, and the special word is decided by Šeško. So only if Šeško goes to Leipzig and says, okay, for me this club could be okay, in that case, the price tag can be 70-80 million euros range plus 5-10 million euros add-ons. Something around that, as a gentleman agreement with Leipzig. Newcastle are informed about that, and Newcastle now want to speak to those close to the player and present their project. So Newcastle are going big on Šeško. Why? Because they know Alexander Isak is pushing to leave the club this summer. Liverpool are there, guys. Liverpool are the club working on a deal for Alexander Isak. So Liverpool are on it. Liverpool spoke several times with those close to the player. Liverpool remain interested even after signing goalkeeper. So Liverpool are on it for Alexander Isak. Then, as I mentioned today, it's going to be important to clarify the Luiz Díaz situation as soon as possible. It's not only a technical point, it's also a financial point. To raise some money and then can reinvest also on Alexander Isak. But Liverpool are ready. Liverpool want to go big. Liverpool believe that if Newcastle will open the doors to this opportunity, they can be ready to really try to sign Alexander Isak. As I mentioned today, I'm not aware of Hilal pushing in this moment. From what I heard, it's not something really concrete now. In case it will become, I will let you know. But as of today, I have to inform you of what I know, and what I know is that at the moment it's not something concrete. And also important to say that for Alexander Isak, Man United are not part of the conversations. Man United want to sign a top striker, but Isak is too expensive, so Man United are not working on this deal. And also Chelsea, there was some rumor today after the story of Alexander Isak exploring a move away from Newcastle. No, Chelsea are not part of the conversation, not interested. They are very happy with the strikers they sign and the strikers they have, so they are not working on a deal to sign Alexander Isak. They wanted him 1 year ago. 1 year ago was a possibility for Chelsea to try. Now is not the case. So, no Chelsea. Mark Guiu could leave the club on loan in England. This is the idea of the club. But no Chelsea for Alexander Isak. No Manchester United. Liverpool on it. On the Chelsea exit, guys, important to add something more. What about João Félix? Benfica are going big. Benfica are working on a deal with Jorge Mendes, agent of the player, and with Chelsea. Now depends on Chelsea exit conditions. Benfica want to try. They don't have crazy money to spend, but still good opportunity. They know the player is keen on a move back to Benfica, so Benfica are working on a deal to bring back João Félix. They are trying, and the relationship of the agent of the player, Jorge Mendes, with the Chelsea and with Benfica is excellent. So both clubs are working on this deal, trying to find a solution together, because João Félix has to leave Benfica this summer. For Raheem Sterling, back to Chelsea from Arsenal, he's completely out of the Chelsea project. Napoli have been offered the possibility to sign Sterling. Let's see what Napoli decide to do. They were offered also Jack Grealish in June, but they were not so convinced because of the financial part of the deal. Let's see what happens with Sterling, if it can be an opportunity or not for Napoli. They've been offered this opportunity. Napoli today asked for the conditions of the deal, so let's see what's going to happen with Raheem Sterling, but he's another player who is going to leave Chelsea in this summer transfer window. We said about Kunku, we know about Nicolas Jackson, who could be also on the move, so many movements away from Chelsea in this summer transfer window. Then, guys, on Manchester United, I told you no Alexander Isak because he's too expensive, but Man United in the recent hours had a direct contact with Aston Villa. So there was a club-to-club conversation. Man United asked about the situation of Ollie Watkins. The answer from Aston Villa is that they want to keep the player, so Aston Villa don't want to negotiate. It has to be a very good proposal to change the story. But Aston Villa, as of today, insists on their intention to keep Ollie Watkins and not to negotiate. So let's see if Man United will decide to go big for him and try to tempt Aston Villa and to tempt the player, or if Man United will move on different targets. But Ollie Watkins remains one of the names on the list, and Man United made contact for Aston Villa to be informed on the situation. And then Man United also asked to Aston Villa the opportunity to sign Emi Martínez and Dibu as a goalkeeper on loan deal. Aston Villa said no chance. So Aston Villa have no intention to let Emi Martínez go on loan. That was very clear after the meeting. It's also important to say that Man United still have to decide whether they want to go for an experienced goalkeeper like Dibu Martínez, also with Dibu being very keen on a move to Man United, as I told you, or if they want to go for a young goalkeeper. And in that case, Lammens from Royal Antwerp remains the name. A player really appreciated by Man United, scouted for a long time, with the player also keen on a move. So that remains the way. Young goalkeeper, old goalkeeper, experienced, because old is not a nice word for one of the best in the world, if not the best, like Dibu Martínez. So for sure, Manchester United are working on the goalkeeper. And remember the priorities. This meeting with Aston Villa is confirming to us the two priorities: the striker and the goalkeeper. At the moment, no green light on loan for Emi Martínez, no green light for Ollie Watkins, with Villa intention to keep him, but to show how Man United are working on these two possibilities, on these two positions. And then, guys, for the next weeks and next days, keep an eye on a former Premier League midfielder who did fantastic at Aston Villa for a long time and now wants to go back to Premier League. The player is Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz didn't show up today at training, pre-season training with Juventus. The relationship between Juventus and the player is completely broken. It's over. So what happens now? Juventus, first of all, will take disciplinary measures for Douglas Luiz. So he's expected to face a fine and to have a difficult situation at Juventus because the club is not happy at all with his behavior. But then the player wants to go. There are opportunities in England. Many Premier League clubs have called in the recent weeks to be informed of the situation of the player. They were waiting for Juventus to fix a price. The deal was quite slow, but now, after what happened today, and with the agent of the player in Italy today and in these hours to speak to the player and to Juventus, I expect more clubs to discuss and start working on the conditions of an eventual deal for Douglas Luiz. So keep an eye on Luiz, because it can be an important opportunity on the market. A player who was wanted, for example, in January by Man United, by Chelsea, then both clubs decided not to advance on the deal. The player ended up staying at Juventus, but I think this summer can be an interesting name to keep an eye on for the final 40 days. And so, guys, let me hear your thoughts on all these stories from Manchester United working on deals, and then Šeško, Alexander Isak, but also Sterling, João Félix, and Douglas Luiz. I wait for your opinion, guys. Here in the comments, remember to like this video, turn on the notification bell, subscribe to the channel. See you soon. Ciao.